Welcome to Thursday or Thorsday morning coffee rant with Dan. It's pretty early this morning, and it's a chilly morning here in Cleveland. Man, I don't know how long today's little rant's gonna be. It is a partial rant. It is also just partial thoughts. I'm blessed to have some of my work being put out there by other people. And I just, we'll have to see where it goes to. There's more and more whistleblowers coming forward. And I definitely have some whistles to blow. But, nothing is as serious as some people, but still serious enough. It's a little cold. I'm going to have a very special message to my ex-former order followers today. Because it's us order followers who enable, the immorality of old dusty fucks to get away with doing what they do, okay? So this hat that I'm going to wear is, it was left to me by someone who's, dearly departed, and I'm not wearing it out of any sense of pride, okay? It's a hat that's, I'm sure many people have seen. It's cold. It's the main reason why I'm wearing it, but it's a POWMIA, You Are Not Forgotten hat. And it was left for me, like I said, by somebody dearly departed who served during the Vietnam era in Korea. And, Vietnam was a political war in which young American men were conscripted, drafted, and sent to murder and be murdered in a foreign land. So they came back after being forced to go in the first place. They came back to having people from their country throw things at them and call them names and do all this other stuff, which upset many of them. They didn't ask to go. However, the ones doing the name calling had a right to do so. I'm going to have a very special and simple message to order followers. Later on at the end of the message, or at the end of my little coffee rant here. But what I gotta say is sometimes saying no, and in any case where you're being ordered to do something immoral, takes more courage than it does to put a gun in your hand and go do the bidding of evil people. Because when you do so, you become evil yourself, objectively. Okay? So, with that said, I wanted to, and I just threw a little thing together real quick. I'm going to go to a screen capture here. And open up this. And I have some things I want to read here. So, say how you feel, leave the job you hate, find your passion, love with every ounce of your bones, stand up for things that matter, don't settle, don't apologize for who you are, and be brave. Have the courage to leave a job that you don't like or that is immoral. If it's a job that has a bunch of contradictions in it and you're being ordered to do things, it's not a good job. And that does not just go for police and military. That goes for grocery store clerks if you're being ordered to try to tell your fellow citizens to put a muzzle on their face. That goes for doctors and nurses if you're being paid to do medicine instead of actually heal people. Okay? If you're being paid for science, which is fucking bullshit. This is another one. We need a new system, not a new government. I'm all for a new world order, okay? One in which there are no borders, one in which we help out one another, one in which there aren't all these smoke and mirrors and psyops going on, psychological operations to get one side mad at the other. A lot of people in this country are exiting and building, going to Mexico, where there seems to be freedom. Yet we see this supposed, human this human problem of people being, detained at the border and supposedly hundreds and hundreds of people coming over the border. I don't believe it. What I believe is both sides purposely pander to their own base and purposely exaggerate the truth, okay, at the very best, if they're not straight out lying, exaggerate the truth to get the other side all riled up. There's a reason why in the freedom community and in any real spiritual community where they are always constantly repeating, do the internal work on yourself. Sometimes you might think they're talking to you, and you say to yourself, I have done the internal work. Are they talking to me? No. Well, yes, but no. If you don't do the internal work on yourself and get rid of your own prejudices and look at what's wrong with you and do that internal work, you're never going to be able to look outwards and see what's truly objectively wrong. You're going to be running everything through the filter of your own prejudice. And this is what they do in the media, in psychological operations, okay, in mind control, which my friend Logan Hart's going to be talking about pretty soon. I was just on the Wizard Factory Live. It was an honor to be on that show and talk about the stuff we talked about. So if you see this, Logan, thank you. But yes, what they try to do is pander to your negative emotions. So if you haven't worked through them, it's going to be very easy to control you. We don't need a new world government. And I would actually suggest we already have one, which was unequivocally proven in March of 2020, okay? God, I hope I don't get too fucking wordy in this. Like, I woke up, I'm only been up a half hour. I grabbed my phone, look at some nonsense on Facebook, get triggered, and now here I am. But in that manner, I think everyone should be getting triggered and speaking up. Once the talking's done, bad stuff's coming. And that's another thing. This country is the only country in the world that wasn't locked down for very long, or didn't really listen at all. Because, yes, we do have firearms. And there's people trying to take those firearms away and trying to divide us. Because if they divide America, they can do what they want. Okay, there was an admiral in Japan that said, we'll never invade. He warned the emperor, do not invade mainland America. There'll be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Okay? I made a post this morning on Facebook. I hope it isn't taken the wrong way. I wish guns didn't exist. That way I wouldn't have to worry about getting shot by those who would try to attack me or harm me, or by those who would try to oppress me. I'd rather have them do it barehanded. I personally would get a lot more satisfaction out of punching somebody in the face than merely pulling the trigger. But they exist. So since they do, everyone should have one. Think back in history to Japan. They wouldn't let your peasants have swords or steel, which was the most highest tech, tool they had back then that they used for ending a life. So what did the farmers do? They had to turn farming tools into what became classical martial arts, weaponry. I talk about that in my book, Violence and Ego, where I get into the origins of martial arts and how to find a good martial arts instructor. What are the characteristics of one that's not ego-based and all full of themselves and really wants to see your growth. We now live in a nation where doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, universities destroy knowledge, the press destroys information, religion destroys morals and obfuscates them greatly, and banks destroy the economy. The most dangerous man to any government is the man who is able to think things out for himself, Almost invariably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable. H.L. Mencken. The whole educational and professional training system is a very elaborate filter which just weeds out people who are too dependent and who think for themselves and who don't know how to be submissive and so on, because they're dysfunctional to the institution. There are people who are currently being weeded out in law enforcement. It is a metaphorical night of the long knives. It has been through 2014. I just was honored by Corey Enderlot of Nita.1 and an online, he's put together an online publication or newspaper that can be used as a resource and that anybody could write articles for and send them in. I highly suggest checking that out. I'm not sure where my thought was going with that, but I highly suggest checking that out, because the information on there is what's going to lead away from dysfunction. It's going to be what helps us. Okay, and information like that, to use as medium in some way to try to, combat all the evil disinformation sent at us. Now, there's something I gotta say. I've been really hot and heavy against New Agers and New Age yoga teachers in particular. And there was a yoga teacher yesterday. I had a very, very, I would call very nice, just quick, communication with about something New Agey. And I'm very happy that she was able to just see the point and said, hey, valid point. No debate. That's great. That's what we need more of. If you make a valid point, just concede it's a valid point. And it takes nothing else other than that. That's the beginning of common ground. By proxy, I had a teacher who's left-wing in votes and got so, and it still upsets me to a degree, but she's free association, I believe in it, was so upset and triggered by my post that she wanted to have a long conversation about it and got mad at me. Which doesn't bother me. I don't really care if people get mad at me. I'm sure before this is over, I'm going to have a lot of people mad at me. However, wanted me to only post something one time on a highly censored social media platform to let other people consider what I'm saying. That's not how you spread truth. You can't just post it once, where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have the mainstream news media constantly shoving propaganda and disinformation down your throats. I'm not going to just post one thing or make one video. I'm going to do it as much as possible, and so should everybody. I would question any time you have a negative feeling about something before you have a knee-jerk reaction. In any way, you actually have some self-inquiry, which is what was taught in my yoga teacher training. So people get very funny over their political beliefs. They spend a whole lifetime defending their religion and their political beliefs, which is an extension of religion. There is no flag large enough to cover the shame of killing innocent people. I can go on. A message from Anonymous about wars. I agree with their message. I disagree with them not showing who they are. I don't trust that. Stuff like that makes me... They're too easy to imitate by people who are doing psychological operations against you. Yeah, this shows that you're free. Where people are jailed and forced to get vaccines. Have licenses for everything that are rights. Where do wars come from? A group of people who own and control banks, governments, and mainstream media that create public approval by stimulating fear and anger toward the enemy. Through the use of propaganda and staged violence. They profit off these wars while the people pay in taxes and their lives. And this was something that I talked about very recently on where I was interviewed on the Wizard Factory. We have these TV shows for a decade leading up to this, talking about zombies, right? These humanoid things, but it's okay to shoot them, even though they're humanoids. You can't shoot them; they're monsters. We have orcs from the Lord of the Rings. Again, humanoids, but they're monsters. Kill them. That's the first thing we try to do to people: is we other them. They're monsters. It's okay to dehumanize them. We have to dehumanize them to do the evil things that they want us to do to them. It's a psychological trick we have to play on ourselves. Quit letting people play to your own prejudiced emotions. That's why the internal work needs to be done. I can go on and on. Okay, I put this in my book. I put this in my other book, Rise from Darkness. Who are they? It's free on my website, spiritualanarchist93.com, although I am having issues with the website now, which is kind of funny to me. But it is free on there when I get it back up and running. Okay, there is no black versus white, or Republican versus Democrat, or gay versus straight, atheist versus fanatic, rich versus poor, left versus right. There's only us against them. They label us only to keep us dividing and fighting. They over-exaggerate things that are really problems, but they over-exaggerate them to the point to get the opposite's base triggered and to keep you fighting over the low-hanging fruit, man. This is why I keep saying, don't vote, fuck voting. Don't. When you vote, you're being complicit in their game. Fuck playing their game. I'm happy to say, I think I've converted a couple of left-wing voters. I'm really wanting to reach the right wing, because the right wing is a little bit closer to freedom than the left wing. I said ring, I meant wing. I can go on, I got a bunch of these, man. Conspiracy theorist. Nothing more than a derogatory title used to dismiss a critical thinker. I am a conspiracy analyst. I think I'm going to have a conspiracy podcast soon. But anyway, I digress. Let's get out of here. And let's go back to this. And there we are. I got to fix that. So I brought up Rise from Darkness. One of the things that I want to talk about is the next book that I'm going to write. There's a lot of spiritual things I've talked about and really weird things that I have experienced that I just called weird. And I'm not somebody who started the research. And I think people who actually know me and have gotten to know me on social media or watched any of my work know that I'm not lying. I didn't start to research, find out a couple of cool things that I thought was cool, and then say, hey, you know what, I'm going to make up some crazy stuff about how I've experienced this and how I've experienced that in some attempt to make myself feel special. When in fact, I think many people who understand psychology can tell that I've been very reluctant to even get out here and fucking talk. I just knew there was no other choice. And I didn't get out and start talking about, the tachyscopic flash or different things I experienced as a government order follower after I got hurt in the line of duty. I wrote a book and really didn't talk about it a whole lot till recently. So I started really putting the information out there. Check out my TAC Chat number 48 and 49, where I unpack a lot of that book, or the premises of it. There's still a lot of spiritual things in that book that happened. So what happened with me is I started experiencing all these really weird things that made me think I was crazy. Okay, that's what an actual spiritual awakening is. Okay, you think you're going nuts, and that's what led me to research. And there's so many researchers out there who I so completely admire. I mean, I admire your courage to, talk about things that people are going to scoff at you about and think you're crazy about, and you have the courage to talk about them anyway. Courage to talk about things that throughout history have gotten a lot of other people unalived for talking about, because there's a certain faction or a certain unknown entity or evil that is an ancient evil in this world that's controlling things from behind the scenes from everything I can see. And I don't know exactly who they are. I just know they exist. And as soon as people start talking about these things and get even a little known, things become pretty dangerous for them. But we're at a point in human history where I think things are going to get real dangerous for everybody. And I do believe in reincarnation. I've been here before. So is my psychic mentor, who is very legit. The things that she has written down and told me have happened in short order in recent years. I remember asking her back about 3 years ago, you told me June this would happen or July that would happen, and it did, but not till like about 8-9 years later. And she said, I was like, why can't you tell the exact time or date of things? And she says, honey, if we were able to do that, we would rule the world. Now, some are a little bit more, intuitive or in depth at that than others. But in the last couple of years, things that she tells me and time frames that she tells me and events that she has told me have come to pass. And I'm going to detail that in my next book. With that said, what I really want to say about the next book, because I'm going to start talking about my experiences, a very real spiritual experience that I know a higher power exists other than man, I want to start talking about those things before the book comes out. I want to set the stage. I want to do it correctly this time. Go in the right order of things, right? So there's been researchers who I've heard say, Jordan Maxwell, man, God rest his soul and all the work he did. Holy cow. What a courageous man, and the things he's gone through. You never know who you're going to come across and who else you're going to be led to through somebody's work. Which is why, hey, Dan's just getting out here and talking, and I'm mentioning other people's work, because maybe someone will come across my stuff and be like, well, who are these other people? And I'm very, I've made it no secret that I admire Mark Passio's courage, his work, what he's done. But there's so many others, and I wouldn't have even known who they were if it wasn't for coming across his work. I wouldn't have known who he was if I hadn't come across some others' work. So you just never know who you're going to be led to through content creation. So if you got a voice and you got something to say, don't worry about how crazy you sound. I had to really work through that. I'm going to sound nuts when I start talking about what I'm talking about, because I thought I was going nuts. So what happened for me is, after I started to go through these things, I didn't know what they were. It's what led me to research and continue researching and continue seeking enlightenment, even in this late hour, still doing so. So one of the things that I heard Jordan Peterson say a couple times is that there was no hope, that this is an ancient evil. It's a pattern recognition. We've been here millions of years, and it's gone on over and over and over again. Okay, we've been extinguished like cattle more times than once. That's history. So he's not wrong. But he was asked, is there any higher power on our side besides this powerful ancient evil that wants to mess us up, right? And I can get far more in depth into Jesus' teachings and what he was trying to tell humanity before he was murdered, or the attempted murder of him. And if you believe in the book of the Essenes, he didn't die until his 60s. But anyway, I'm self-comforting as I talk about it. Anyway, he said there was no good force that was like for us. Now, I don't know what he knows. I'm nowhere near as researched. I'm not questioning that. I know everything that I've listened to him say so far. I'm blown away by, and it has the ring of truth, and it has been cross-referenced with many other, researchers, occult researchers, and religious theologists, because he was a combination of both. It's all together. And when I use the word religion, I of course mean the colloquial version of the word religion. He also talked, very, very in depth about the etymology, or the origins of what words originally meant, right? So I think I disagree with him that there's a higher power not on our side. I think there's probably always has been one, but few people have listened. So something that happened to me in the fall of 2020 is I went into my garage. I'm just going to tell some stories here that blow my mind. I'm not going to be much longer in this. I went into my garage. The light bulb was flickering on and off. And I'm like, what the heck? I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, that light bulb needs to be changed. It seemed like it was kind of loose. I just took it out. Because when I put it all the way back in, it still did the little flickering thing. There's something wrong with this light bulb. Hopefully it's not the lamp. Got another light bulb, put it in. No more problems. That fixed the problem. And I'd spent a lot of time out there in my garage and outside back then. I still do. But one night I came in there, and the light, we'll just say this represents the light as being on. Let me use this hand because this one is cramping up from working out. So the light bulb's on, and this was October of 2020. You know, we weren't very far away from the Great Conjunction. Jupiter and Saturn right next to each other in the sky. Still real crazy heavenly things happening even now as we are in the age of Aquarius. I walk into the garage and I'm, whatever. And the next thing I know, I look over and not all flickery, but even paced, okay? At an even pace, I should say, pace. The light bulb literally went five times. I'm doing it like this to kind of show it's going off and on, off and on, off and on. Not completely dimming off and completely dimming on. It was slow. 5 times. And I was like, holy shit. That is a spiritual sign something was trying to communicate with me. And I wasn't scared of it. I spoke aloud. Talk to me. I'm not afraid of you. I know you mean me no harm. Tell me, what is it? What do you want me to do? And of course it said nothing. The light just stayed on and that was that. But that's just one thing. And then the synchronicities continue. Then 1 year later, in October 2021, I'm at a psychic fair. And there was a very powerful male psychic there who will remain unnamed. My mentor wanted me to go to him. Actually, they all did. They kept coming up to me, and they were saving one spot for me. They wanted me to get, like the whole community of psychic spiritual community around here, wanted me to get a male perspective on some things. And again, my mind was blown. He named my grandfather by name. Okay, and said that he's telling me to ask you about the Marines, something only me and my grandfather would know. He named my brother by name, told me about the beef, told me something else good about my brother. There's no way he could have known this stuff. He didn't use cards to read me. He just looked at me, asked me my name and date of birth, and then just started telling me things. One of the things he told me was, you have five spirit guides or guardian angels or 5 something with you. He's like, listen to them. They have messages. You have to have discernment. He then drew the Star of David. Okay, that's the triangle going upwards, which kind of represents the sacred masculine, the triangle going down, which represents the sacred feminine. And he said there'd be signs. He also said between that point and my birthday, I would have a really, really big opportunity to jump on and take some action between those times, but there's going to be an opportunity that's going to come. He's like, it's going to come, take it. And that was in October. And of course, April 11th, 911 the following year, not 911, I'm sorry, 411 information, I got to interview Mr. David Icke, who has a lot of the same, background in research and metaphysical things and opinions as Jordan Peterson. And many others, and Mark Passio, many others who delve into the occult, okay? I notice numbers. I was on a podcast series, episode 61. Me being a, former psychopath in the field of order following enforcement. And if you invert those numbers to 16, there was a certain researcher who, again, it was Mark, who was on that same show titled Letting Out the Inner Psychopath. Those are synchronicities, I was contacted by Logan of the Wizard Factory on a Tuesday or Tearsday. By the way, I didn't say Happy Thorsday, did I? Happy Thorsday. Tyr was the Norse god of war and justice, but for now we'll just use the justice part. My interview with him was on the 11th. Okay, the 11th is the justice card in the major arcana of the tarot. All these synchronicities, even if some of them are man-made to send a message, or even if they're not, it doesn't matter, they exist. And I don't know what my spirit guides or that thing that was not human was trying to tell me. So perhaps Jordan Peterson's right. There is no real higher power that's there for us, but that was not man. Doesn't mean it's some higher power that could do something, but it's something for us. I can't say what it is, but it is there. And I know we're late in the hour, but if there's any crazy things that have happened to you in your life, or you have anything to talk about or say, now's the time to start saying them. Okay? But with that, I just wanted to tell that little, real spiritual thing that happened to me. And I had many other spiritual things that have happened to me. And there is clairaudience. Okay? And I'm developing claircognizance. That isn't precognizance. I can't tell you the future. It's just I start to know things. I don't know why I know them. I research it. I'm like, wow, I was exactly on. Because it just comes to me. Ears constantly ringing. This isn't shit that I read on the internet and I'm regurgitating it. I was going nuts, so I thought I was. Well, I'm not now, man. So I worked in, I can keep going. I worked in psych wards, psych pods, and I seen dudes going nuts. And I was often wondering what happened to them. Because they start speaking the truth, and maybe someone thought, you're nuts. We're going to throw you in here and start giving you psychotropics. Believe me, I am not insane. Something higher than God exists. Or I'm sorry, higher than man exists. God with the capital G. So the people that were usually throwing these patients in and ordering their, psychotropic medications that completely fucked up their minds, all believed in the bearded man in the sky. And some Jordan Peterson said is Satan is who rules this world. Something Jesus said is, or was trying to say, was that the wrong God was chosen. That's why he talked in parables. If you have let the chosen, those who have an ear to hear, or eye to see, you'll know them by their works. He tried to teach that the kingdom of heaven is within. He was speaking the truth. He was against the religious leaders of that time, and they attempted to murder him for it. Think about it, man. Think about it. Think about the control mechanism religion has been used as. It's the greatest stand-down operation, psychological operation in human history. There's something better for us after this, and the book of Revelations has talked about exactly this, and we know they can't plan shit ahead of time and make this stuff happen, so we're all like, let's just wait for it. Come on, man. Anyway, there was something else very important I wanted to say. Oh, getting back to the Star of David. Okay. It is the Star of Jerusalem. It's a Hebrew star. It's been used for centuries and centuries. The triangle has been used for centuries and centuries to represent spiritual things, mind, body, spirit, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, all these different things that the triangle represents. I couldn't help but think, I was told to watch signs. I was getting strange emails out of nowhere to study Hebrew origins and religions, and I didn't really pay attention to them at the time that I should have. This was like 2 years ago, even leading into last year still. And I find it very interesting that originally Judaism was a henotheistic religion, meaning heno meaning mono meaning one, poly meaning many, heno meaning chosen. It was a chosen, they chose their God, right? And Jesus was really against the Pharisees at that time. He said Satan rules this world. Satan, the opposer. I'm not talking about religious things, the way people would normally talk about these things. But did we choose, as a species, the wrong God? I was having a conversation with my psychic mentor about many different things. And science being a word that we use to go about describing the process of trying to discover what the truth is that is inherent in nature, not yet known, even states that there is a high probability of all these different, multiple universes, right? Not just one. I don't know. There could be many gods. I have more questions than answers. What I would say is this: everybody at one point or another is going to suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect. And the Dunning and Kruger were both psychology students that studied this effect that people have and what it's. And you can look it up on Wikipedia. People who know very little often are very confident in thinking they know every fucking thing. And then there are some people who are studied who know things, who by sharp contrast sometimes have no confidence. They know enough. They know a lot. But they know enough to know they don't know everything. And sometimes their confidence could be affected in the other direction. So it's something worth thinking about. I can probably rattle on all morning as I do this tag chat, but it's probably already been longer than I wanted it to be. But anyway, my message to order followers, my heartfelt message, especially with the video that I was featured on talking about the immorality and the violence of order followers and how throughout all of human history, it's been the order followers who allow the immorality of everyone we want to blame as the leaders, everyone we want to blame as the politicians, the monarchy, the thisarchy, these rulers who are immoral, forcing us to do this shit. How are they forcing you? Literally, how are they forcing you? By fooling you with contradictions and fooling you into thinking that you're serving some greater good by doing their shit, their bidding. And you will do good from here and there. You will do good. I did do good. I bought a sandwich for somebody. I did this. I did that. There's all kinds of things I did when I was wearing that monkey suit with the shiny thing. Any human being could buy someone a sandwich. You have to really look at history and see, my friends, that the onus of responsibility for every immoral government act, democide, the highest form of the most unnatural deaths in history, democide, death by your own government, have all fallen on the shoulders of order followers doing their orders. It doesn't matter if it's a firing squad of German soldiers doing femicide, killing Jewish women and children. It's happened. Look it up. Or if it's just a cop trying to say, hey, you got to quit doing that. I agree with you. I don't really want to be enforcing this, but the decision's yours. You're going to have to stop, or we're going to have to kidnap you and use whatever force is necessary to subdue you. It's so important for our military and police to understand God with a capital G's objective morals under natural law. This is why I keep talking about this. This is why so many people are talking about this. This is why the online newspaper The Liberator was created. Corey, I still haven't woke up yet. This is why I couldn't remember it earlier. But it's an online newspaper called The Liberator. It originally was a newspaper, a movement in the 1800s to free slaves in this country. Which brings me to the black and white issue. This country's been around for 300 and I don't know how many years. It's too early in the freaking morning, and I'm not going to sit here and do the math. Well over 300 years. That's a drop in the bucket compared to over 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Slavery has been the human condition the whole time. Every race has owned slaves of every race. Don't let them use race, which was really made into a thing back in like around 1858 in this country. Before that, it was just accepted. Yeah, humans have had slaves, and we fuck each other up and don't care. They've turned race into a dialectic to keep us fighting one another. They've done it with they've done it with sex. They've done it with generational things. I can tell you right now, I've run into some people of Generation Z. Awesome people. We're not in bad hands, us old people. There's a lot of good younger people out there. Talking to all of you. I often make jokes about the millennials. I'm Generation X. We're the awesomest generation, of course. No. Don't let them divide us over nothing. They cannot do what they want to do in this world if there is a united people in America. Period. And with the elections coming up, that's all they're going to freaking do is they're going to keep clowning us with our choices of freedom here. Okay, the cult of the donkey is on the left. The cult of the donkey is on the right. The one up here on the right is definitely the freer choice. If you put a gun to my head or to someone's head I loved and said, you have to choose the cult of the elephant or the cult of the donkey, yes, I would choose the cult of the elephant. Or I would get real self-righteous and say I'm not going to choose any evil. And that'll be a decision I have to make when it comes. But if you look down here, it is an illusion. Look on the scale of slavery to freedom where both of them fall. So to all my police and military friends, I'm not against you, I'm for you. Most of you identify as right-wing because that's more freedom and you want to be freedom. Remember the cup that cop was holding? Okay, I just talked about that also. I was just asked that question. And the cup said, don't tread on me. He thinks he's protecting freedom. He's mind controlled. Some dude down underneath said, dude, you're literally the boot. Well, you fucking are. And I fucking was too. Just doing my job. No, you have to understand objective morality. And you're not bad people. I know why many of you took the oath. We took the oath to protect and serve. Not for slavery. We did not take that oath to enforce or to help create and keep about the slavery that's going on in this world. We took that fucking oath to protect and serve. What are we protecting and serving? Oh, I'm getting pissed. I'm not even through one cup of coffee yet either. This is crazy. But anyway, I just wanted to say to everybody, man, the weekend's coming up. It's Thursday. God with a capital G bless everybody during these times. May we all stay safe. May we all find some kind of courage. Live in the moment. Tell people you love them. Be prepared physically, mentally, and spiritually. Okay? With that said, I just wanted to say, hey, happy Thursday, man. And until next time, guys, stay safe. Talk to you next time. I forgot one very important thing. I didn't want to leave my morning coffee rant with a rant, totally rant. I wanted to show this image one more time. We hold the keys to unlock these chains. Think about that. Okay, man. Till next time, stay safe.